Welcome, beautiful souls, to Becoming Her, where we celebrate the vibrant and diverse journeys of trans women and crossdressers. I'm your host, Stephanie Parejamaas, a proud and playful advocate for authenticity and joy. In each episode, we'll dive into inspiring stories of transformation, resilience, self-love, self-acceptance, all well wrapped in a warm and loving embrace. Get ready for a whole lot of fabulousness as we uplift, support, and empower one another. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's unveil some truly remarkable stories. And remember to check out my Patreon, Beautifully Changed with Steph, for exclusive groups, exclusive content, and to join my Discord. And also, like this video and subscribe to my channel. Share this with a friend. And have a beautiful day, remembering you are enough. Your life matters. You are important. Welcome, beautiful souls, to Becoming Her, where we celebrate the vibrant and diverse journeys of trans women and crossdressers. I'm your host, Stephanie Parejamaas, a proud and playful advocate for authenticity and joy. In each episode, we'll dive into inspiring stories of transformation, resilience, self-love, and acceptance, all wrapped in a warm and supportive embrace. Get ready for a whole lot of fabulousness as we uplift and empower one another. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's unveil some truly remarkable stories. Remember to check out my Patreon, Beautifully Changed with Steph, for exclusive content, groups, and to join my Discord. Today, let's meet Elizabeth, and remember to give her some love in the comments. Like this video and subscribe to my channel. Well, hello, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for coming on Becoming Her to share your story, to just connect with other women, let them know that they are not alone, that you are walking with them, and that you have your own story to share that they can relate to and cheer you on and support you. So thank you for giving us some of your time.
Sure. And thank you for having the platform to do it with.
Yay, you're so welcome. So, Elizabeth, this is just going to be kind of a fun conversation, and feel free to share whatever you feel comfortable with. If you don't want to share something, just, don't share it. But I'm just going to open the floor to you, and just feel free to share part of your story, and I'll ask questions when I have one.
Okay. I would say it really begins when I was a teenager. Kind of with pop culture and how representation of trans people in the media was at the time, being in the mid-90s. It wasn't, as far as I remember, it wasn't ever a positive thing. It was always either, somebody that's scary or the brunt of a joke or something of that nature, where we weren't seen as people, but people that had like a severe mental illness.
Or almost like an accessory to the
Yes.
story versus like a positive spotlight. It was always like the sense of humor, or the weird one, or the scary one, or the harmful one.
Yeah, and they were never like the main character unless they were the antagonist. So there was a lot of that. And then I also was growing up in Texas, where it's very religious and restrictive on its progressive views. But my mom, she was very progressive. She was very liberal with everything. When I was even younger, she let me play with all the toys that I wanted to play with. If I wanted, she bought me Cabbage Patch Kids and other dolls to play with. And my grandmother said, "Well, why are you doing that? He's a boy." And it's like, well, this is what he wants. And so that's what she did for me. Even I remember when I was 8, I joined kind of like a little league bowling league. And my bowling ball was bright neon pink, and I still have pictures of it. And it was like my favorite thing in the world. but it's like it's a non-standard boy color.
Mhm.
I think had I been restricted in those choices, I might have come to the realization sooner of how I felt about my body and my identity. But because I had that option, even within school settings, I found it easier to be friends with the girls rather than the boys. However, I would still interact with boy-centered stuff. Like I had He-Man and G.I. Joe action figures, not dolls, action figures.
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like I even had like squirt guns and cap guns and all of that. So it's like I had a very mixed gender-based childhood. Um, I didn't really feel different about anything until I was about 13.
Okay.
And I started noticing that when my mom and I went shopping at Walmart, whenever we went past the clothing area, I was wanting to go towards the women's section rather than the men's and the boys. So being the curious person that I am, there was one day when I was home alone, skipping school, and I went into my mom's room and tried on some of her clothing. And this is where I feel that the culture of the time plays into it,
Okay.
because she didn't catch me, but she knew about it,
Mhm.
and she confronted me later, saying, "Hey, do you want me to buy some of these clothes for you?" But then, like, my immediate reaction was like, "No, I don't want to be that weird person or the oddball of the community." So, I turned her down. And I think if there had been more of a supportive, culture
Yeah.
in place, I would have felt comfortable coming out to her saying, "Yes, I am interested in these things. Can you help me figure out, why I'm feeling this way?"
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the person that she was. She was absolutely, if I come to her with something, she makes it happen. So that's the type of parent she was.
That's so nice.
And that was kind of how I squashed the initial feelings, where it's like, no, I'm a boy. I need to, maintain my image as a boy, and then as a man. And then um, skip forward several years. Um, I had been dating somebody who I met under very, very odd circumstances. We'll put it at that.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, because that happened beforehand. Okay, so sorry.
No worries. No worries.
Timeline around that time period is a little mixed. So I remember being up at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Very much how I found your live stream. It's
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, it's like I just want something. Well, initially I found your channel because I was looking for videos to listen to while I sleep, and there's the 7 hour one that you have. Yeah, so that's how I found your channel. It's like, oh yeah,
Really?
this is really good. So let me subscribe. And then the other week when I also had difficulty sleeping, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh, you're live streaming. Let me just check in, and then yeah. So that's how I came to this.
Oh,
So anyway,
wow. How cool.
yeah.
Yay, I love it. Okay,
So
really quick, Elizabeth, I just wanted to ask you, so are you currently living as a woman full time? What's your status on that?
that's in transition.
Okay.
So with that, I have US documents under my current name, but all of my British documents are still in my old name because I needed to update all of my other nationalities first.
Okay.
That's the law here. So I'm out at work as, as Elizabeth. All my friends know me as Elizabeth. I greet people as Elizabeth. But if they ask me for identification, that's where I have to explain this is me, but this is also me.
Okay. So you're in the transition of it, but you are living as Elizabeth. And
Yes.
how long have you been living full time as Elizabeth besides documentation?
About a year and a half.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. So now go ahead with your story. I was just curious about that. And
So,
I think listeners want to know as they're hearing your story, like where you're at in
of
your transition. So
course.
yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So again, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and for whatever reason, I don't even remember why, I turn on CNN, and I think it was just so that I could have some background noise. But then they had this interview with this trans woman author who was publishing her book, her autobiography, and she was asked point blank, like, how did you know? And then she started listing off several things about how she knew, and that it's like I'm checking off of several of these same situations. So that's where I really got to thinking, well, I also have all of these things from my past that aren't what she experienced, but also kind of play into it. Let me explore that. That took about 3 years from that time. It was about 3 years before I determined in myself that this is who I wanted to be.
Wow.
Because I went through phases where I was single for a long time. So I felt like, well, is it just that I want female companionship? I just want to have that feminine energy around. Was it, some fetish? Just do I want to do just the cross dressing? Um, just different variations of that. And I, the logic that I convinced myself with was going back to the Walmart situation is if you had the choice, which set of clothing would you prefer to wear? And I chose the women's. And then it was, do you want to have the body to fit properly in those clothes? And that was yes.
Mhm.
And then knowing that, how do you want others to perceive you? Are you okay with them perceiving you as a man who wears women's clothing, or do you want them to see you as just a woman? And I picked just a woman. So it was from that point that I knew I've got to do something about this, because not that it was causing me distress, but this is what I wanted to do. This was my goal. And I knew how long it typically takes to achieve that goal.
Mhm.
Being in America, and especially at the time, this was like early 2000s.
Okay.
So at the time, like healthcare didn't cover anything for trans care, unless under very specific circumstances, which I did not qualify for.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like there was nothing that I could have done, and then I didn't have health insurance for a while, and a bunch of other things caused me to delay it. Then we get to the girlfriend.
Okay.
So I've been dating her for about 3 months, as my male persona, and we're talking on the phone, and she admits to me and it wasn't even like, this is what we wanted to talk about. It was just like in passing. All of a sudden there's a lull in the conversation. Then she brings up, hey, I think I might have feelings that I might be bi, and then she went into describing why she felt that way. And like immediately I'm like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a positive because it kind of works for how I'm feeling about myself. And so after she explains why she feels the way she does, I tell her exactly, I think that this would work out for us because I feel this way about myself, where I feel like I'm more of a woman than a man. And there was like a moment, long pause, like there was silence. And then she said, no, that's not for you. I don't think that would be right for you. And then she, the term now is gaslighting, but she made me rethink all of the things that I thought of to determine how I felt about myself and look at it in a fresh light. And through that, and the fact that it was impacting our relationship, I decided to quash it again. So even though I hadn't made any real progress, apart from somewhat not this length, but I had grown out my hair a little bit. So I made just a tiny bit of progress, but because of that, I pushed it back down into the bottle again.
So you
And then a
doubted
few months
yourself. You
later,
were like, everything I've been feeling can't be right then.
yeah,
You gotta just shove it down. I'm wrong. I gotta just.
got to start the whole process all over again. Got to reevaluate why I thought the way that I thought, and discussing it with her afterwards. Even though we ended up breaking up, she convinced me that it was primarily the feminine energy. That's what I wanted. So because she was there, she was supplying that in the relationship. Therefore, I didn't need that energy in my own space. Therefore, I shouldn't do any sort of transition. I should just stay a guy.
Okay.
And then
And you bought into that for a minute. You were like, okay,
for a hot
makes
minute,
sense.
it was like 8-9 years
Oh,
of
wow. And how long did that relationship continue?
it was only like 8 or 9 months. Yeah.
Wow. So isn't that amazing how we can be convinced that our own truth isn't the truth? And then we're like, sets us back years.
Mhm.
Wow. That's amazing. So
Yeah.
then how'd
And
you move through that? And how'd you believe yourself and trust yourself?
well, I had to go through phases of actually testing things out.
Okay.
So, because it was as soon as the relationship ended, I, was having those feelings again, like I'm not comfortable with my body, and all those sorts of things. And um, it it started off with a bit of cross-dressing, um, some fetish play, and from there it was like none of these are really feeling comfortable for me, and I couldn't really figure out why. But the reason I couldn't, all the signs were pointing, well, you're a trans woman, but I couldn't go to that point because somebody had already proven me wrong. So that's where I had to try and try again, try to make things make sense with the facts as I understood them. So then it was, because I won 2015, 2016 is when um, I I praise her for everything that she did, my mom. But she said I was like in between jobs for a while, and having real dark depression and things like that, not understanding why I was. But yeah, she woke me up one morning and said, "Hey, here's a ticket to London. Go visit your birthplace." Because I was actually born here.
Okay.
Yeah. And as soon I got off the plane, funny enough, I don't know how much you know about Brexit.
Not much.
Yeah, I hadn't heard a thing of it. As my plane is landing, the pilot announces, the results for Brexit are in and we're leaving the European Union. And it's like, wait, what? What's all this about? And like there's a lot of cheering and a lot of groaning on the plane.
Okay.
So I know like this is an important thing. And as I'm talking to people, and this was also back when it was right before Trump was nominated for presidency. So everybody's asking me like, what's your political ideals and everything. It's like, I'm just here for a vacation.
Yeah. You're like, I'm just here to have fun and experience London and eat
Yes.
food.
Lovely people, and I love conversing about that stuff. But I've found through the years where I really enjoy being an open book, which is why like you can ask me anything and I'll tell you anything that you want to know about it. But it's like the few people that I tell and then I get bad reactions to, that's where it leads me to be more closed off about that kind of stuff. So anyway.
So wait, sometimes people will ask you a question. They'll ask you, they'll be like, "Hey, Elizabeth, I have a question for you." And they'll ask you the question and you'll answer it and then they give you a bad reaction?
Yeah, like it's all like, because I know that this is possibly going to be going into the video, so I'm trying to think of like a very moderate thing, because they always ask me like very polarizing things like, what's your feelings on the Second Amendment and things like that. Oh, healthcare. Okay. So they did ask me like how I think of the NHS system, the national healthcare system here versus how it is in the US. And my answer was that I think that it should be a hybridization, where there should be minimums for what should be covered by the state, and if you want extra or even expedited service, that should be available to you as well at a market rate. This older gentleman, I think, probably spent their career in the NHS system as an employee, because he just said, no, there's like so many benefits to, national health care and social programs and everything. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't always work. And the US system doesn't always work either. So if you take the best of both worlds and mix them together, that's how you get the best option. And I tried explaining this to him and he's like, no. He almost started a fist fight with me over this simple question. Wow. Granted, he had had several drinks. So, but yeah, I had to cut my night short that evening. But yeah, that would be an example of where like I open up about my true feelings about an issue, and I get a negative reaction where it's like, from now on, if somebody asks me that question, I have to think of the most moderate, apolitical, like I can't just say this is how I feel. It's like I've got to placate both sides so that I don't very, very on the fence answers.
Because it's upsetting to you if people get mad at you?
It's because when people do get mad at me, it's not always in a friendly way.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, so I mean, I would encourage you not to silence yourself, but you don't always have to share your whole thing.
So I do self-center a lot, but I would absolutely 100% love to be open and honest with everybody about anything.
Mhm.
It just hasn't proven safe.
Yeah. Well, I think all of us experience that. Everyone in the world experiences sharing your opinion on something and people not agreeing.
Mhm.
And then you get to decide, who you're going to share your opinion with and who you're not. I would just encourage you not to silence yourself across the board because there can be some people who are still safe to share with if they ask you that same question, right? Some people will be like, oh, interesting. Da, 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 and they'll have like a cool conversation with you. And then some people will be like, what? That's stupid. And then some people will be like, oh my God, I agree. Let's do it right now. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
So I think just having that discernment around just because I know
Well,
you've already silenced
yeah,
yourself so much in your
I
life.
had to I had to develop a set of questions to ask people to kind of gauge where they sat on the trans issues. Yeah, so because of poor interactions with other people, I've developed not like a standard set, but I made a list of various questions to ask other people, and different things to do around them to gauge how they respond to those little minor things that could just be overlooked, and like build a profile of how, if they knew that I was trans,
Mm.
and this was way before I was out. Um, but yeah, it was a list that I used in my friend circles to see which people are likely to be accepting, which people are likely to leave, to shun me, that sort of thing. And fortunately for me, I have yet to have anybody do anything negative.
Can you share the list of questions?
Yeah,
Because I think it might help a lot of people, or at least a
like
couple of them, a couple of the questions that you asked.
yeah, because I remember bringing up trans statistics, like how likely it is that the person next to you might be a trans person in hiding or not. And that was with a friend. He works at a bar, and he does the bar's monthly quiz night. So that's where I came up with it. It's like, here's some interesting facts. And it was like, oh yeah, that's pretty interesting. Don't know how I'm going to use it, but that's pretty interesting. And then it was other things like, it's always in like passings. It was like one thing I did was looked up like what music trans people kind of associate with, and then had that playing in the background, with some of the friends that I hang out with, seeing how they react to that, if they knew or if they said anything, just gauging like they're in. It was almost like um, I put a lot of trans culture in front of them and
Mm.
then said, "Here, how do you react to this? How do you react to that?" And then there wasn't anybody, but I knew that if somebody said, "Oh, you like that," or you're interested in such and such, oh, like video games. There's the Life is Strange series
Okay.
that's supposed to be very LGBT friendly, and mentioning that to one of my other gamer friends, she didn't bat an eye, so that was a good thing. And where was I going? See, this is where the ADHD kicks in.
That's okay. That's okay. You're doing just great. You're doing great, 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 great. Okay, so let me ask you then. Okay, so Elizabeth, what were some of the difficulties with coming out?
For me, it was a fear of being rejected for myself. Again, going back to the girlfriend, it was like that, but on a wider scale. And then with the growing up, how we're perceived culturally, I didn't want to be seen as a freak. Because even the job that I have now, they before I told anybody at work, I looked at like what sort of resources they have for coming out at work, and they had this video of like what sort of what is it, discrimination, like discrimination that can happen at work. And it was things like not being allowed to use the proper bathrooms, um, improper use of pronouns repeatedly after being told, that sort of thing. And it was like a short 5-minute video, but it was very disheartening to think like this is a national company, so it's not like, you know, regional or mom and pop. It's like
Yeah.
a national brand company, and they're still having these kinds of problems in a society that I thought was rather progressive. So I was very worried about discrimination on like promotions, very much with bathrooms and everything, and even dressing appropriately. There was a section in that where there was a trans woman who got called out for wearing a dress, even though like the other person thought that they should be dressed in a suit rather than a dress that they were dressed in. So yeah, it's like the little things. I don't need to deal with that kind of stress. I got enough going on in my life. But what ended up happening is keeping everything secret. I ended up finding a program online that I could get all of my hormones through and everything, because the wait list for the NHS here is ridiculously long. I'm still waiting on my initial appointment 3.5 years later. Yeah, I've still got about 2 years left to go for my initial appointment.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's so long.
Yes. And that's like the national average. That's not like specific. And they won't give you an appointment date until like a month or two beforehand. So it's like, I couldn't even tell you in a couple of years I'll have an appointment. But they know that it's an issue and they're working on it and everything. But, you know, there are other resources, but you pay for them.
Okay.
I was very fortunate to find the service that I'm with now. I feel fortunate. It's a rather popular service here in Europe. But yeah, I started taking the hormones, and I started getting some of the physical changes, and I was really worried about like how people were going to look at me, because I knew pretty soon I can't hide it.
Yeah. And some things you can't reverse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Not that I wanted to reverse it, but it's like,
Right.
yeah, it's like I'm not going to be able to, you know, hunch over and wear baggy clothing for very much longer because certain parts are starting to show.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying, like not reversing because you don't want that, but reversing out of the fear of people are going to know, and now I can't hide, and you can't, like it is now what it is, you know? So it's like sometimes your body will make it so then we're just going to have to come out a little bit sooner than you might have emotionally been ready for. So,
Oh, yes.
yeah.
Because I was at the time, I was, well, not at the time, but um, right around when I started my hormone therapy was when my mom passed. And so one thing that I do regret, she knew, because I told her previously, but she never got to see me, and that's something that I really regret.
Yeah.
So yeah, for in the recording, like if you know, just start. Get started as soon as possible, because you'll be happier, and then you get to know the family members that accept you
Mhm.
for much longer as yourself.
Oh, that's beautiful. That just gave me like goosebumps. Mm. Yeah, they get to know you. They get to know all of you, the real you, every part of you. And you get to be loved for you by the people who will love and accept you. It's unfortunate that we have to be like by the people, it's so unfortunate that there's loss
I
that comes
know.
with
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
But
because
I
I do have family members that they're tolerant, but they're not okay with it.
mm, yeah, yeah. So I love that you are encouraging everyone, like, let yourself be loved by the people who will love you for as much time as they have with you. Yeah.
It was a very, she ended up passing from pneumonia that just came on suddenly, and so it's like she was just about to turn 62,
Wow, I'm
so we
so
were
sorry.
expecting her to be around for a whole lot longer, but yeah, because, and survivors of like car crashes and other accidents and other tragedies, they'll all tell you, love people
Mhm.
as long as you can, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, so true. So true. I'm sorry that you lost your mom, and especially feel like pneumonia, is kind of unexpected, and she's healthy one day and gone the next, and that you didn't get to share with her. Do you feel that is any part of your transition then something that you're doing to honor her and honor your relationship and honor her acceptance of you?
Not really, because even though like she was very supportive and everything, I think deep down she didn't want it to be true,
Mhm.
because part of the after effects of the girlfriend um, was I came out to my mom, and then she kept coming up with different excuses of why I shouldn't come out yet, why I shouldn't
Okay.
start the process. And I feel that had she been more supportive of that aspect of me, I might have come out sooner, might have started hormones sooner, all sorts
Mhm.
of stuff. But again, it was also culturally, because she recognized that because we were always a close-knit family, myself, my brother, and her as a single parent. And she knew that if there was like one bit that was odd about our family, that it would affect everybody else within the neighborhood. Um, she even thought that, like, if she got pulled over by the police for speeding, that she would be more likely to get a ticket if there was some oddball in the car that they didn't like.
Okay. Okay.
So it's like you've got to present yourself as respectfully and presentably as possible. And at the time, the reasoning was that my brother was still in school, and he was having issues because he has mental disorders of his own, and the schools were just fighting back. So she felt it's best not to buck the system even further by having you come out and saying, "Oh, well, you're just a family of crazies,"
Mm.
that sort of thing. So I
Okay.
get it from that perspective, but at the same time, like for me personally, looking back at it, it hurts to know that she put how other people felt above how I felt.
Yeah,
So
100%.
now, yeah, I'm doing my own transition to make myself feel comfortable with myself. Um, there are issues that are coming along with that, but I do have different ways to respect her life and legacy and everything. But it's not the transition itself.
Yeah. I think might have misunderstood me, but I really appreciate what you're saying. I was just meaning like, is there any part, like, do you wear like a certain dress for her, a certain color, or
That
you make
actually,
sure
yes.
to honor, like, you're like, no, I'm
It's
going to do this because she died so young, so I'm going to make sure I do this for myself. Stuff like that is what I was more referring to.
okay. So, well, this bracelet that I'm wearing was hers.
Okay.
She never wore it in life, but it's got the quote, "This above all else to thine own self be true," which, yeah, it's so fitting for me, and then it's a part of her that I get to wear every day.
Perfect. I love it. That's exactly, but I also really liked your answer before because that was really powerful. And I think so many people will resonate with that a lot. I just wanted to clarify what I was saying because, um,
Okay, yes,
okay. So now I want to make sure because we have like a few more minutes. So,
yes.
what are some of the struggles that you're facing now, Elizabeth, now that you are out?
So, with the non-binary friend, they have experienced so many issues out and about in society that I haven't, and I'm wondering when that shoe is going to drop. Like when people are going to be discriminatory towards me, knowing that they've already experienced it. So I know those people are here in the city. I don't know if it's just, you know, the way I look or the way that I interact with others, or the fact that when I walk around town, I usually have headphones in and I just don't hear anything. There's a bunch of different reasons, but I'm waiting for that shoe to drop. So uh, I do have a lot of anxiety about like how I'm going to react to that situation when I'm confronted by somebody who doesn't like me because I'm me, and what I'm going to do about that situation. Like, am I just going to run away? Am I going to confront them? Is it going to result in sort of fisticuffs, that sort of thing? I don't know, and it's scary. And I'd like to believe that it'll never happen to me, but I know that statistically it will.
Mm. Okay, so you have that fear of when will somebody be mean to me because of who I am? And
Yes.
what will happen because of it? Like, how mean are they going to be? Where is it going to go? How am I going to handle it? Depends on probably what they do or say, right?
Mhm.
And then how you are doing that day yourself, like, are you having a great day? Are you having a bad day?
Yes.
I mean, there's so many layers there. So what are you doing? Are you kind of like practicing what you will say or do so that you kind of prepare yourself?
Yes, I do like simulate in my mind, like if they say this is how I'm going to respond to them. If they do this, and again, it's contextual because, like, if I am in a already unsafe environment, I'm not going to confront them because I don't know if they're going to be respectful in same way. They're already not respectful, but yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So, are you also then telling yourself, since you have that fear in the back of your mind, are you also telling yourself that there will also be people who love me and accept me? Because you said that shoe to drop, which is kind of like for me, since I do like a lot of like hypnosis and mind work and stuff, for me, that would be something I will always have yourself prepared for the worst, right?
Yes.
But also
Yeah.
don't live your life with that fear leading you. Lead your life with the love leading you, that there's going to be people who love you, people who accept you, and look for those people and be excited about those people. Because if you're giving
Yeah.
all the fear, the energy, also make sure you're giving the love, the acceptance more energy than you're giving the fear. And so I have to say that I can't just like not
Yeah.
say
No,
that. So
I do get that. When I do get into those cycles where I think about the bad stuff, I do remind myself that I have wonderful friends. a wonderful community that I'm a part of that um, like I said, I've not personally had any bad interactions with any of the people that I've come out to um, or meet for the first time as Elizabeth. So it is more of a thing like I said, statistically, I know it should happen, but I am grateful every day that it doesn't.
I love that. I love that. And Elizabeth, since you've started your transition, since you've been living as yourself, how has your life gotten better? What are some of the positives, some of the perks, some of the just like the joy, the things that you're just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm so glad I did this.
For me, it is the clothing. The downside to it is I don't have the body that I want yet. But I do get to I get to wear the things that make me feel comfortable in my own body. Whereas like um, all the time, like I can't even think up until it's like the entire time that I was male, I could care less what I wore. It doesn't matter the condition, the color. I'll wear whatever, actually feels comfortable. But it's like I had no style, I had no fit. Doesn't matter. I'll just wear it. Like I would definitely be the type of person to do socks and sandals, and it's just because it's comfortable. Like
Yeah.
I didn't care, but now I do care.
No, you
I do have a style an aesthetic that I want to go for. So I'm very happy about that, where I get to choose, and I'm interested in choosing what it is that I wear.
I love that. I love that. And how are you approaching dating or relationships? Or I don't know your relationship status right now, but how are you
That
approaching
is
relationships?
that is way far away. It is something that I am concerned about uh, because, again, you read online all the bad stories about dating as a trans person. Um, so it's a future me problem.
Okay. Do you
There's
think
plenty of other things that I want to work on first before I get to dating.
perfect? And do you think that part of what you're working on before you get to dating is just that unwavering belief and love in yourself that you accept yourself completely, regardless of what somebody else tries to tell you or say about yourself? And that if they try to convince you that you are not you, that you will be like, and we're done. No matter how cute they are, no matter how much you like them, you got to be like, and we're done. No gaslighting, no telling me I'm not
Yes.
me, no not accepting this beauty in front of you. So bye-bye. Do you is that
Yes,
your plan to love yourself enough?
there's work to be done on getting the confidence to be that bold.
Okay.
But I would say that, yeah, if somebody is making me second guess my transition, that would definitely be a deal breaker, depending on how long I've been with them. That may, again, future me problems. But I do know that, yes, I would break things off, and um, it is before I start dating, I need to work on self acceptance a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, and being able to receive somebody else's love. Because a lot of times we focus on just loving ourselves, but a huge part is when you haven't been able to love yourself or accept yourself, it's really hard to receive love from other people. And so practicing that, just the receiving of the love and believing that they could love you exactly for who you are and who you're being in this moment, not who you will be one day, but who you are right now is so, so, so important. Okay, Elizabeth, just a couple more questions. I'm wondering
Okay.
if you have a helpful tip for anybody who's listening or wanting to connect with you. What would be like a helpful tip you would give to all the ladies somewhere in their transition, regardless of where they're at in it?
Um,
Just one. You're probably thinking of a million.
I can't think of any.
You can. Okay, just take a breath.
Well,
Helpful tip. What is something you wish you had known that you had to learn? What's something you wish you had known, but you had to learn on your own?
okay, so that plays into like one of the things that I'm struggling with socially right now is I had this idea that when I came out, especially to my lady friends, that everybody would be very supportive and share knowledge, and I could come to them about, hey, how do I style my hair in this way? What sort of products do I use and things like that. Um, even like fashion advice, like does this look good on me? I've got none of that. They're all accepting and they're all willing to help out and everything, but it's like I don't have that one good friend to just tell me how it is.
Mm.
And I think if you have that person in your life, hold on to them because you will absolutely need help with girl skills. Absolutely will. And if you don't have that person, always keep an eye out because again, there are like basic day-to-day skills that you will need to know about that you'll need somebody to ask, hey, I have this issue, how do I solve it? And the internet isn't always like the best place to go for certain advice. So yeah, just like having a face-to-face person would definitely be something that I would recommend,
Okay.
just because that's how
Yeah.
I learn.
That's really good. That's actually, I'm just going to plug myself then for a second because a lot of times I will do one-on-one coaching. And these are some of the things we'll go over. We'll go shopping online together. We'll try on outfits. I give feedback. I help, the ladies decide like what outfits look good on them. We talk about doing hair. We talk about makeup. We talk about all sorts of stuff. So that is something. I also have my groups where we do like gender coaching, feminine coaching, all of that stuff. So I know I may not see you in person, but I can see you over Zoom and we can do quite a bit over Zoom. So it's definitely been really, really helpful. Also, just if you don't want to do one-on-one with me, but you want me to make a video for my channel, just always ask because I mean, if I can figure out how to make it, some people have requested like a walking video, but I don't walk that great in heels myself. And so I'm like, I can't really provide you the best. Like I could send you to some, like I could find videos, but if it's
Right.
things that I can help with, that I can feel comfortable teaching with, then I will definitely make those videos. Just, I need people to request them because otherwise I don't know what to make and I don't want to be like, share the obvious. So tell me
Right.
what's not obvious. Like tell me what you need to know. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean, walking is definitely a thing, just because of different anatomy. But if you go, because I've done it, I've looked online, like how do I, as a male to female, how do I walk femininely in public? And it's very basic, non-specific advice that they give you, but it would be great as a lesson to be able to say, like, to have a coach look at the way that you walk and say, hey, this is what you're doing right and this is
yeah.
what you're doing wrong.
Yeah. And that's what I've done with some of the gender coaching groups is I'll be like, okay, walk towards me. And I'm like, okay, because it's hard. It can say, you can be very general and be like, don't swing your shoulders, have your
Yes.
hand, you know what I mean? But I
Yes.
have to, in order to give you the best advice, I have to see you. And when I
Yes.
see you walk and when I see you sit and when I see you engage, that's when I can be like, oh, okay. So you're doing this really well, but this part is what to focus on and tweak or, stuff like that. So that's why I really like that. So anyone who wants to join that, you do that through my Patreon because it's the gender coaching group specifically. So we'll say that because it's there or one-on-one. Some people don't want to do in a group and they want that one-on-one, which is really, I think, very helpful and fun. So it's fun for me. It's fun for you. It's fun for everyone. Okay. So Elizabeth, if anyone wants to connect with you, where can they connect with you?
That's rather difficult because I'm not active on social media in
Okay.
any form.
Okay.
Um,
So that's okay.
yeah.
If they can't connect with you, that's okay. You can just just give your final words to everyone then.
Um, as the statement says, just be true to yourself.
I love
Love
it.
yourself as you want to be loved,
Mhm.
and just enjoy being you.
I love those. Enjoy being you. Love yourself the way you want to be loved. And what was the first one? Be your truth.
Um, be true to yourself.
Be true to yourself. I love it. I love it. Elizabeth, thank you so much for sharing a part of your story. I know it's just like a blink of your story, but thank you so much for sharing what you did. Everyone, please remember to give Elizabeth some love in the comments. Ask any follow-up questions you have. Give her love. Let us know what, spoke to you, what you can relate to, and know that you are loved and cherished and you have a place to belong and your life matters. So thank you, Elizabeth, so much.
Thank you.